A parting gift from President Biden to Democrats who really wanted this to happen. Biden has commuted the jail sentences of nearly 1,500 people, and he gave out 39 pardons. This is the latest act of clemency or the largest act of clemency in the modern presidential history. And it all comes after Biden's very controversial pardon, of course, of his son Hunter. Mark Meredith reports from D.C. Mark.
Harris, good morning to you. It's good to see you. Pardons by tradition can be quite controversial, but the polling you referenced shows just how disappointed so many Americans are after the president broke his promise not to pardon his son Hunter. It was just 12 days ago on a Sunday night as the president was leaving for Africa that he announced a sweeping pardon to clear Hunter's charges of tax fraud and lying on a gun form. It also covers anything that could have been considered a federal crime over a period of 10 years. There's an Associated Press poll finding only 22% of people approve of the pardon. 51 disapprove, 18% say they had no opinion. Republicans and even many Democratic allies of the president have come out against this pardon. And one woman who has spent a lot of time advising the president over the years says the White House screwed up the timing of this pardon.
Had this pardon been done at the end of the term in the context of compassion, the way many pardons will be done, I am sure, and many commutations will be done, I think would have been a different story. I do not agree with the way it was done. I don't agree with the timing, and I don't agree, frankly, with the attack on our judicial system.
Amid the controversy today, the president issuing clemency for nearly 1,500 people. Overnight, Biden said most of the commutations will impact people who were placed on home confinement during the pandemic and have shown personal growth. Harris, you mentioned it, 39 people also issued those full pardons, none supposed to be any violent offenders. And Harris, we're hearing that more pardons may be coming. You've got some Democratic activists urging the president to clear federal death row. They don't think that that should still exist, and they want the president to take care of that before he leaves office. Harris.
Mark, thank you.
Fox News alert right now. President Biden granting the largest single-day act of clemency in modern history. Brooke Singman joins us with this breaking news. Brooke.
Good morning, Brian. That's right. So the White House announcing this news overnight. President Biden commuting the sentence of roughly 1,500 people who were released from prison and placed on house arrest during the pandemic. He's also pardoning at least 39 more people, all of whom have been convicted of non-violent crimes. Now, the previous single-day record for clemency was held by Biden's old boss, former President Barack Obama. But today's action is 5 times larger than that. We had heard reports last week that the Biden administration was considering issuing preemptive pardons for a handful of people like Liz Cheney, Anthony Fauci, and Adam Schiff out of fear that the incoming Trump administration could target them. But it appears none of those 3 names are part of this list. Now, this also follows the president's controversial decision to pardon his son Hunter, who faced sentencing this month for felony tax and gun convictions. White House lawyers say those pardoned this morning had all been convicted of nonviolent crimes such as drug offenses and say they have since turned their lives around. Lawrence.
We'll be looking out for the rest of the list. Thanks, Brooke.
And Jonathan Turley, he's a constitutional law attorney at George Washington University and a Fox News contributor as well. He does everything, and he comes on America's Newsroom, and we're glad for it. There's just the pardon of Hunter, though, continues to have bad feelings that have come as a result of that. You wrote about it, but I want to play something for you from the former Biden senior advisor, Anita Dunn, and then have you respond. Watch.
Had this pardon been done at the end of the term in the context of compassion, the way many pardons will be done, I am sure, and many commutations will be done, I think would have been a different story. I do not agree with the way it was done. I don't agree with the timing, and I don't agree, frankly, with the attack on our judicial system.
Okay, so she's not a fan.
No, it's still a rather muted criticism. Quite frankly, it deserves something a bit stronger than that. It wasn't the timing. It was the fact that he was using a presidential power to benefit not just his own family, but himself, because he pardoned for any crime that Hunter may have committed over a decade, including crimes that some feel the president himself is implicated in.
And the other thing is, let's just pull up this AP poll. Only 2 in 10 backed the Hunter pardon. But the other point was that the timing of it. So Anita Dunn says, I don't like the timing. It could have been done at the end and everybody would have understood. But the reason he did it was so that Hunter Biden would never have been convicted in the first place.
That's right. What they feared was that he would be officially convicted, also that he would have a hard sentence that would have to be set aside. He didn't want any of that. These sentences come with reports that are often very embarrassing, that might refer to some of the other allegations against him. All of that was avoided by doing this.
In all of that pardons that Mark Meredith was just reporting on, why would Bill Clinton ask for one for Hillary?
Right. Well, there's a strange thing going on, Dana. The new rage item this season is a pardon. I mean, everyone seems to want to be put on the naughty list. I mean, you are nobody in D.C. unless you're on that list. And it's a curious thing. As you know, usually around this time, people are fighting to get on the inaugural ball list. But we have people, including Bill Clinton, saying, well, help out Hillary. And you're talking about some pundits are saying you should give thousands of pardons, whole categories of people. And part of it is to try to fulfill the narrative. The nightmare for Democrats is that democracy is not going to collapse, that people are not going to be taken in mass to camps, as was stated on various programs. That's a real problem if democracy actually survives. The best way to blunt that and to preserve the narrative is say, oh, well, you know, there are these white knight pardons that Biden saved America by pardoning whole categories of people, so he couldn't do that. And that's the only backup position that they have. But you now have this strange thing like Bill Clinton saying, you know, I really think that my wife should be on that list. You've got commentators saying, I need to be on that list. And the list of naughties are getting longer for this season. It's
an interesting thing because I was thinking of my Christmas wish list. I got to get that for Peter. A pardon is not on it, I will tell you that. John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, he continues to delight and surprise. This is something he tweeted. He said, I'm sorry, it was his first Truth Social post. The Trump hush money and Hunter Biden cases were both BS, and pardons are appropriate. Weaponizing the judiciary for blatant partisan gain diminishes the collective faith in our institutions and sows further division. Do you think those two are comparable, the Hunter Biden case and the Trump hush money case?
No, they're not comparable. I mean, most Americans agree the New York case is blatant lawfare. Hunter Biden was demonstrably guilty. I mean, he was convicted by a jury in Delaware, the home state of the Biden family. So this was not some hostile jurisdiction like the one that Trump faced in Manhattan. So I don't think they are comparable. But I think a lot of people are now looking at this election, and perhaps they feel a little more ability to say what is obvious, that this was lawfare, that it has really destroyed the legal system. And I'm hoping that maybe we could come together on that. We can all drop the rage rhetoric. We can begin to look at the legal system for reform. You know, there's a lot of support for Trump coming in to reform these departments, and he's picking people from outside the establishment to guarantee that that gets done. And I think a lot of citizens find that rather, you know, supportive and pleasing, considering that they want to see changes in Washington.
Well, now we know what's on your list. The unity about judicial reforms. Let's hope you get it. Thanks, Jonathan. Good to see you.
President Biden is issuing about 1,500 commutations in the largest single-day act of clemency in modern history. Correspondent Mark Meredith tells us who's on the receiving end on this list. Good evening, Mark.
Brett, good evening to you. President Biden says it's a privilege to extend mercy. Today, he showed it, commuting the sentences of nearly 1,500 people who would have been in prison, but instead were serving in home confinement due to the pandemic. On the list, Rita Crundwell, who was convicted of embezzling more than $53 million from Dixon, Illinois, where she had served as comptroller. Another 39 people, mostly nonviolent drug offenders, also received full pardons today. The White House says more are coming.
America was founded on the premise of second chances. For far too long, our criminal justice system has closed doors of opportunity for too many people who should have the chance to once again participate in daily life and contribute to their communities.
Tonight, a public pressure campaign underway by human rights activists, far-left lawmakers, even Pope Francis, who want the president to commute the sentences of 40 men on federal death row, all of whom were convicted of killing someone. They're calling for the men to stay behind bars but not face execution. The White House says it's under consideration. Still, it's the president's pardon of his son Hunter that has voters across the political spectrum outraged. The White House saying today it stands behind the pardon, even after one high-profile former senior Biden advisor blasted the move.
I do not agree with the way it was done. I don't agree with the timing, and I don't agree, frankly, with the attack on our judicial system.
A new Fox News poll out tonight shows only 32% of registered voters approve of the president's decision to do this pardon. Voters feeling similarly about President-elect Trump's plans to pardon people tied to the January 6th Capitol riot. Democratic Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar has become an outspoken critic of the Hunter pardon. She's calling for pardon reform, Brett, to ensure presidential pardoning powers are not abused in the future. Brett.
All right, Mark, thank you.
Are you allowed to commit crimes as a spy for the FBI and not get charged? Because they said this was the greatest attack on democracy ever. Said it was up there with 9/11. Traitors, they said, seditionists. They're off scot-free. You can try to overthrow the government if you're an FBI rat and just walk away. Congress has to find out. And what does this mean for pardons? I mean, the Hunter Biden pardon already greased the runway for Trump, but this reports all the ammo Trump needs. He told Time magazine, it's going to start in the first hour, maybe the first 9 minutes. Now, if I were president, I don't think I'd pardon J6ers who were slugging cops, but if you were wandering around peacefully, come on. And it's not just Kash Patel that's going to clean house. Tulsi's on deck.
I'm here with Tulsi Gabbard. She's here on the Hill meeting with my colleagues. She's going to be a great DNI, a Director of National Intelligence. It's a really important job. It oversees all of our intelligence agencies, and it's in need of reform. I think everybody would admit that, and so we need to bring in a reformer.
Now, the deep state's never been this backed into a corner, ever. We have Trump assassination files that we want to release, JFK assassination files, COVID files, Epstein, Diddy. What about that pipe bomb? Is the FBI still working on that one? Who planted that? It's just another conspiracy theory that you were right about. The lab leak, the laptop, and now Jan 6. No wonder Biden's under pressure to dish out more pardons. Who knows how high this thing goes?
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.